Just a quick reminder before we jump in. Everything we share here is personal and subjective and meant for entertainment and educational purposes only. We reflect on patterns and dynamics from our lives, research, and what we've learned from our work. But this isn't professional advice or a substitute for therapy. When we mention people like family, friends, or exes, those references are intentionally vague or altered to protect privacy and don't reflect every person in our lives who fits those labels. Our goal is to support healing, not blame. Please check the full disclaimer in the show notes for more information.
Welcome to Self-Centered, the podcast that's all about you. We're your hosts.
I'm Allie, a therapist and life coach.
And I'm Katie, a fitness coach and personal trainer. We know what it's like to feel burnt out, taken for granted, and like your life revolves around everyone but yourself.
By learning to trust yourself, prioritize your needs, and set healthy boundaries, we help you break free from guilt, overfunctioning, and toxic patterns that keep you stuck in relationships and a life that doesn't truly serve you.
Join us each week as we dive into the tools, stories, and mindset shifts you need to create a life that centers you.
Because being self-centered isn't selfish, it's essential.
Welcome, friends. We are here for another day of the podcast, of the thing that we do every week. Today, you get me. You get me and my fitness wordings and my perspective. So we're going to talk about fitness being a spectrum today. And we talked about a couple weeks ago kind of the benefits and the drawbacks, how the light and the dark of fitness for mental health and fitness for just your personal journey and your personal growth, and how you can center yourself through fitness. You can also be subject to abandoning yourself through fitness if you use it too harshly or too much. And I really want to highlight today that how fitness can benefit you in your self-centered journey, it depends. We're going to explore two athletes and their use of fitness in their personal growth and self-centered journey, and how it has helped them or how they have maybe needed to take a step back from it. And then we're going to reflect on our own journeys with health and fitness and how we've used it for our growth in becoming more self-centered.
I love it.
So last year, I got a little bit obsessive. And there was this guy. His name was Paul Johnson. This is not someone I know in real life. I just want to be clear.
Like, there's this guy I have a crush on.
No, I don't have a crush on him, but I do admire him as far as an athlete goes. So I stumbled upon him on social media. It's actually really funny how I stumbled upon him. I came across a reel of this ultramarathoner bragging about downing an entire Domino's pizza in a 2-liter of Coke, and how that was like his fuel. I mean, if you listened to our episode last week, we talked about how sometimes the comment conversations and social media can follow the drama triangle of, the persecutors.
Oh, yeah,
the persecutors and the victims. And that comment section was full of that. Oh, my God. It was crazy. I have never seen a comment section so divided.
What were they saying?
They were just like, this is the most unhealthy thing to be recommending. You should be eating whole, fresh food, drinking Coca-Cola before a run. Your insides are going to be destroyed. This is terrible fitness advice. You're harming so many people by sharing this.
Oh,
what's it going to be like 20 years from now? Like, it was controversial.
You're the persecutor. Wow.
Holy shit. It was crazy. And I remember reading it and watching this video. And at first I was like, I wouldn't choose to eat like this. And I generally have always chosen like whole foods and, fruits and veggies and abstaining from sodas and that sort of thing. And there's some science here that, it actually does make sense to eat a lot of processed food as an ultramarathoner because you need quick nutrition.
Gosh. I wonder how quickly he's burning, like how many calories and
It's wild. This guy that I was following, Paul Johnson, he was training to run 3,000 miles across the continental United States. Supported. He had a team that followed him and like fueled him along the way and whatnot. But run it all on foot, just consecutively. And he was doing it to raise money for team.
What does that mean?
Meaning like he didn't take a break. I mean, he slept, but he didn't run through California and then go home. and then come back and start
Oh, I see what you mean.
It was just every single day. He was just running. That's all he did for 16 hours a day. It was just run. And then he'd sleep. And it's just, that's the grind. So he was running across the United States. He was initially trying to break the world record, which is 42 days to run across 3,000 miles on foot across the country through all levels and elements.
Really impressive.
And it's ridiculous. The guy that actually did it, Pete Koselnick, he is incredible. He also ran unsupported from Alaska to Florida, meaning he had a stroller that he had all of his things that he needed for his run, his extra pairs of shoes, his clothes, his food for the day.
Guy's pushing a stroller.
For 5,000 miles.
Oh my God.
I think it took him like 100 and something days, 103 days or something like that. Anywho, as you can see, I went down the rabbit hole. I drank the Kool-Aid. Okay. I still have desires to one day run an ultramarathon because of this entire experience of watching this thing. So last year, Paul Johnson, this is the guy that I'm talking about. Paul Johnson, he posted this video that I saw that was the pizza, and it got me down the rabbit hole of like, what is he doing? What is his thing? His thing is he's running across the United States to raise money for mental health and to try to break the world record. The world record, that was just a social media bit to get people to click, guys. Like, that was what it was. He was going for it for sure, but the goal was never that. The goal was to raise money for mental health and through Team RWB, which is for veterans, which he felt very connected.
Munty. Like, it's like money and mental health.
I mean, those two influence each other.
He's raising that Munty.
There's your Southern again. So Paul himself, as you know, I followed his journey, and I followed this thing pretty obsessively for a few months because it went on for like 56 days or something like that. And I was following before it started. I was watching the live streams. I was seeing every story posted. I was following all the crew that were like, I was invested in this thing. And it actually impacted my own physical and running journey myself during a very difficult time, but I'll talk about that later. But so Paul, his story was he's in the military, in the Navy. He was on this 3-year deployment. 3 years is a long fucking time, friends. He lived on a boat that, I mean, he was in the Navy, so that's kind of what happens for most of them.
Yeah, but 3 years.
But 3 years, that's not supposed to be that long. So my guess is some big complications happened, which unfortunately that does happen in the military. And you're just you're stuck. That's what you're having to deal with. And over that deployment, like he had a bunch of sleeping problems. His stress and anxiety was going through the roof. The way to cope with that was excessive drinking. Then he started having, thoughts of self-harm and suicidal thoughts. He started expressing self-harm by cutting. Like he was struggling on the struggle bus. And when he finally was off of deployment, he got stationed in San Diego, actually. And he ended up linking up with a buddy in San Diego who convinced him to train for a marathon. And for him, it was the first time that he kind of like was able to escape all the things going on in his head through running. And this is where people start saying like running is therapy or exercise is therapy. And if you listen to our episode about the light and the dark side of fitness, you'll hear a little bit more about that and know why you can't just use exercise as therapy. There's more to the conversation. So check that out if you haven't. However, for him, it certainly was better than cutting himself. Certainly better than that would be the right choice.
What we would call harm reduction, you know? Yeah.
We want to pursue that. And so we're going to choose the least harmful thing. And so he did that.
Well, and maybe it didn't harm him to run too. I mean, sometimes it does, but we don't know. Yeah.
So he started running every day. I think he had a run streak of like 400 days. Just ran every single day training for this thing.
Oh my goodness.
Crazy. I mean, there were days where he was running 40, 50 miles in a single day, like just unreal. So
is that unhealthy? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. So that's what you mean.
And it's not,
it was that kind of like, I have to do this. And like, there weren't any other tools in the toolbox.
Exactly. And he, from things that he has shared over time, he has been seeing a therapist for a number of years since his, coming back from his deployment. He has, tried medications that were approved within the military. Unfortunately, there's not a ton of medications that are super approved within the military. The one that helped him, he actually had to medically separate in order to continue taking it, which is a bummer. So it's like you choose your career or you choose your mental health. That's a bummer. Yeah. But he obviously was making the choices that would support him the best. And so he chose, I'm going to leave the military in order to continue taking this thing that will keep me from harming myself. But he wanted the mental struggles to be visible. And he had said this as a quote on his interviews and whatnot, that running was the first time that he could make the mental struggles visible and he could connect with people over that. And so his entire run across the United States was, how do I make this visible? And as I'm making this visible, he's hearing stories from other people dealing with similar struggles, and maybe not for the same reasons, but struggles with their own mental health and their own personal journey and trying to find purpose. And these people were finding purpose through the hard thing that he was doing too. And I remember like watching this run across the United States. There were like third grade classes, kids classes that were checking in and following his little tracker every single day and watching the live stream. And like, it was adorable. And then when he would run through their town, they would all like have signs and be cheering for him. And they were like, oh my gosh, this person is inspiring me. Right. So just a really cool thing. But for him, being self-centered and supporting his goal of being alive, furthering his life, required him to dig deeper into the thing that he was finding help in, which was running.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's not always the right choice for everyone.
Right.
And bear in mind that he was also using other tools to keep him grounded. I mean, he had support of a therapist. He had medication that he was taking. Like, he was actively doing things to try to improve his position that were not just exercise.
Right. Yeah.
It was a tool in the tool belt. It was not the only tool.
Yes, definitely. It makes me think like him saying that he wanted to make his invisible experiences visible.
Yeah.
So many people say that about creating art or creating a podcast. Or another way to think about it is, and I think I've said this on the podcast before, your experiences are like all this yarn that's scattered everywhere. And if it's all over your home and all over your car, then sometimes you trip over it. It gets stuck around your ankle and you feel trapped because you can't, and if you can actually take that yarn and be like, wait, let me start balling this up. And as I'm doing that, I'm looking at it and I'm working through and making sense of all these things. Then eventually I have this ball of yarn that now I can make something from. I can knit something from, and I get to decide what I make from it. So I just love that. That's so cool.
His exact quote, which is exactly what you're saying, he said he noted that mental health struggles aren't always visible. If I'm dealing with anxiety or depression, I can't visualize those. It creates a feeling of isolation. So that's why he ran, to make the struggle visible and connect through movement.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so that really is him centering himself. And part of centering himself was being aligned with the values of, I want to create something for others.
Yes.
And that could be different. Like, it depends, right? But like for someone else, it might be, actually, I need to focus only on myself and really take care of myself for this season in my life. Like, I'm not giving back right now because I have to pour into me. But for him, creating something for others was centering himself too.
Yes. I think about that pretty often. Friends, I have my own struggles with mental health. I had to talk to my therapist about this week as well. But there are times where the anxiety becomes really big and your power becomes small and your self-worth feels small. Yeah. And being completely honest, there are moments where I've had to say, like, if I didn't have my dogs, I don't know if I'd be here, right? And obviously, I'm not in that place. I'm okay. Just putting that out there.
Yeah.
But that is part of it, is like finding something outside of yourself that gives you purpose at times when you don't feel like you're a big enough reason.
Yeah.
That's what I see from this, is like he was using something that was bigger than himself to anchor him to.
For sure. For sure.
And I mean, I felt that the same thing in my divorce. It was like, okay, Luna is my reason. Like if there were times where I talked about this previously, like there were times where I didn't feel like I wanted to be alive. And okay, well, I can't leave her with my ex. That was, part of the reason at times. It was like, okay, I'll anchor myself to her. She's dependent on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that can be really powerful. On the flip side, it's not always running towards fitness or running towards something like that. It can actually be taking a break. That could be the thing that centers yourself, and that could be the thing that supports you the most. And one of the athletes that I think many people know of that did this profoundly was Simone Biles.
And she even got hate for doing it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So like talk about, they wanted her to abandon herself.
Yes. And she opened up such a great conversation around athletes as humans because of this. Again, the work is so much bigger than yourself at times too. And that's really impressive. But her decision to withdraw from the Olympics, I mean, envision that. The thing that you have been working for your entire life, the height of your career. And you're like, I actually need to leave that.
Yeah.
The thing that I centered myself around, I actually need to abandon that now.
Right. That was, I mean, I don't know if it was her whole identity. I mean, probably
No,
wasn't.
but that's who we perceived her as.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is for
Exactly.
some people, it would be their entire identity. So part of the reason that she was able to put herself first over the hate and the pressure to just push through it. She's an athlete. She's representing America. She should just deal with it and suck it up, like she gave up. And on a world stage, like that hate is like literally everyone on your planet, not everyone,
everyone with
people
access.
from every area of your planet hate you. And, obviously a lot of people supported her, but probably part of the reason she was able to walk away is because there was some other way that she could identify herself outside of her sport.
Yeah. Well, and that was a big part of her platform too, is that athletes are human too.
Yes.
And she sees herself as a human before she sees herself as an athlete. She is a human who does athletics.
Right. Exactly.
Which is
and
great.
that's on being self-centered, right?
Yeah, exactly. But her choice to step away from that thing that I'm sure for a big part of her life, and this also brings in a piece of the conversation that these things are fluid. It's not permanent what one thing will do for you forever.
Right.
I'm sure there was a big part of her life where gymnastics helped her with her mental health.
Yeah.
And helped her with her identity and helped her feel centered.
Totally. It depends on the season.
Yes. And then recognizing that, okay, I'm struggling with something. And if I continue with this thing, it could cause me harm. And being resilient and choosing to step away from it, because you're resilient for yourself, not resilient for the sport, right? You're not choosing the sport over yourself.
Yeah.
You're choosing you.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yep. You come first.
Yeah, is incredible. And to recognize that what was once true is not necessarily always true. Like not creating a rule that doesn't have flexibility.
Totally. Are you going to talk about this girl, Carrie Strug? Because if not, I'm going to.
No, do it.
Okay. So, because I saw the Simone Biles documentary. And so.
Yes, that's right. You've watched it.
So proud of Simone. There was, I'm going to oversimplify it probably, but in the 1996 Olympics, Carrie Strug was a gymnast on the U.S. women's team. And she was in the final rotation, which must mean like the final thing that they were going to do. I don't know. The Russian team were on a floor exercise and the U.S. was on vault. And the U.S. women's team was in the lead over the Russian team, but it was still possible for the Russians to take the gold if anything went wrong with the U.S. on their vaulting. So the first 4 U.S. gymnasts landed their vaults, but struggled to land them cleanly. And obviously that wasn't great for them score-wise. And then there was a teammate, one of the U.S. gymnasts, fell twice, which got a really bad score. So then this gymnast, Carrie Strug, was the last to vault for the United States. So pressure, right?
Yeah.
The pressure is on. When she landed, she under-rotated, so she fell and injured her ankle. And the last Russian gymnast finished her floor routine about 10 seconds after that happened. So it was unclear what the scores were for the total scores for the US and the Russians, because for the Russians, there were the top 2 Russian floor gymnasts. They had finished performing, but their scores weren't yet posted.
Oh, God.
So they didn't know.
Yeah.
And so Carrie Strug had to do one more vault. So she was set for 2. And on the first one, she hurt herself, right?
Yeah.
She fell and injured her ankle. So Strug asked her coach, do we need this? Like, do I have to do this?
Yeah.
Does the team absolutely need this? And her coach said, Carrie, we need you to go one more time. We need you one more time for the gold. You can do it. You better do it.
Oh,
So
I mean, we were good until that last moment for me.
You better do it. Yeah.
Oh.
So then Strug limped to walk up to make her last attempt. And she landed on the vault briefly on both feet, almost instantly hopping onto her uninjured foot, and then saluted the judges. Then she collapsed onto her knees and needed assistance to get off the landing platform. And the commentator said, Carrie Strug is hurt. She is hurt badly. And she got a good enough score that the American gymnast team won the gold medal.
Oh, my God.
Everything in the news about that was she pushed through. She did it for the country, right?
Everyone's celebrating that. But I sit here and I think about that and I'm like, oh, but is that worth it? Like, really just a little piece of metal hanging from a string?
No, seriously.
Is that worth your body?
Oh. Yeah. And the injury prevented her from competing at a high level ever again.
Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. And I have to imagine,
and watching it is hard. Watching the video is, you're watching her like
self-harm.
Yes. And everyone is pressuring her to do it.
Well, that's what I'm thinking is the distrust that I would have within my own body of myself after that, because I'm choosing actively to abandon myself in lieu of what other people are telling me to do.
Yeah.
That would be so hard to sit with. And knowing that it also took me away from something that I loved in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and at that time too, culturally, no one thought it was problematic. Like literally that was not being talked about. It's only until recently.
That was the 90s, right?
Yeah. 1996.
Yeah, the 90s were rough for some of that.
And she had to retire at 18 years old.
Oh my God.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a lot of complaints about the US gymnast team and like Larry Nassar and all of that. And overall the sentiment is that they're pushed to their breaking point and then they're disposed.
Yeah, they're not actually human.
They're objects, right?
Yeah.
Like you exist to meet a desire that someone has or the country has that's like a weak ego, quote unquote, need to have, instead of seeing this person as a human, which they are. And so Simone saying, no, like, wait, what was the quote that she make, like that I'm human? Sorry.
No, you're fine.
But Simone saying that, it meant so much for so many.
Athletes are humans too.
Athletes are humans too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she got so much shit.
She did. And what's wild to me is the conversation around the value there. Oh, we want to be the best in the world, so we have to win gold no matter what. Because, again, ego. Versus, life is important. Autonomy is important.
Yeah.
Human value is important.
Well, yeah, and you're in fitness, you're in performance,
Yeah.
And there is this enjoyment that comes from like pushing yourself to your edge and seeing what your body can do and competing and winning. Like that's great. And if that's going to be harmful, and it depends whether it's harmful or not. Sometimes it's harmful, sometimes it's not. That's the point of the episode. But like if you've broken your ankle, you're not going to go flip yourself in the air and then land on it.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. You have to think
that's
of the bigger
what we
picture.
should be supporting and prioritizing as a country and feeling proud of is, wow, how cool. Like we're going to support this person. We love seeing what the human body can do and the human mind too. Because so much of this, as you know, is mindset and visualization and mental game. And that is so cool to watch. And yeah, like, no, don't freaking hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it highlights too just how far we have to go as a society.
Yeah.
I think the American society specifically. Like, yes, all across the world, people struggle with these things.
Well,
and capitalism, it is
that's true.
I'm talking.
I'm just gonna
like,
say Russia sucks a lot, but
no, definitely,
but yeah,
definitely, there are people in all places that struggle with these things, and I think America's got a long way to go on some of this too.
Yeah. And what were you going to say about capitalism? Like,
well, I think it's a capitalistic approach. Like that has fed into this viewpoint of being disposable, winning at all costs. Like it's not like it's the hustle culture, and you have to have something to show for it, as opposed to being valued as by yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yep. Intrinsic worth.
Yeah. What's interesting is these things kind of make me reflect over my own fitness experience and like how I've used fitness as far as mental health is concerned, and as far as like becoming more self-centered, or was I self-abandoning? And I think back specifically my running journey. My running journey is like the big one, because running is something that, I mean, I remember up until my mid-20s, I was like, I'll never run.
Yeah.
I hate
I'm
land
not
sports.
a runner.
I'm not a runner. And I had been a swimmer and a water polo player my entire life. So I'm like, I don't do land sports. But I swore up and down, I'll never be a runner. I'll never run. And I remember there was like two things happening simultaneously. One, my marriage was falling apart at the time. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't to the point yet where we were getting divorced. This was a couple years before that. But it was centered around the time where a big offense happened that I realized this will end in divorce. Oh. It was the turning point within my
You're
my
like,
marriage.
this is inevitable at some point.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
There was a moment where I very clearly recognized that this will happen. And so much of it was, I hope that it doesn't, but I'm preparing for reality.
Yeah. No,
I've
been there. Yeah.
Yeah. And it sucks. But so I remember at the time, I was doing a lot of personal development, personal growth, and reading all the books and all the things, listening to the podcasts, books on tape, that sort of vibe. And I had really gotten heavy into exercise at the time as a form of personal growth, because I was trying to improve all the things I could.
You weren't a fitness trainer yet, right?
I was a health coach through a multi-level marketing company.
Got it.
Yep. That's kind of what started my interest in health.
Okay, well, it was your gateway.
Yeah, it was my gateway. And I recognized while doing it that, oh, hi, I'm a rule follower. This would feel better if I had certifications and I knew what I was talking about and I was actually educated in this field, which is what pushed me to get my personal training certification and started my career on that. But at the time, so I was in this big health kick and I was like really pushing myself, and I was like, you know what? I shouldn't be held back by, physical limits or my mindset on things. Let me try running. And what I found, it was a great way to process the stress of my failing marriage.
Yeah.
And then it became a really great way to avoid my failing marriage.
Yeah.
Yep. And so there's like a double-edged sword that goes in with that. On the one hand, it was beneficial for managing the stress of a very unhealthy situation. And I don't know, like reflecting back, I don't think I'm going to be able to discern if it was more healthy than unhealthy or more unhealthy than it was healthy. It got me to where I am today, and I'm safe now. So I'll take that. But I remember really leaning into that when things got really intense. Like when things were not good in my relationship, I could turn to running and that helped.
Yeah.
And then when, I was in better places in my mental health, I didn't run nearly as much, or I ran more for just hobby.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I had to push myself and
Totally.
big drive, right? And then as I started having more tools in my tool belt and I like got into therapy and I was working on myself in a productive way and trying to identify what things went wrong and how I could prevent them and how I can like grow and heal myself, I didn't feel like I needed to escape.
Yeah.
Which was really helpful, right? And I can look back on seasons of my life, like even recently, I feel really grounded and I feel like I have a really good grasp of the things that I'm working on in therapy and in myself and like unlearning things. And I can handle them, I can hold them. And so I don't feel like I have to reach to exercise as a way to process anything. Because I'm processing elsewhere. I'm processing with a therapist.
And I think the exercise is a compliment.
Yeah. Yeah. And it has been used at times. Like I'll have, a therapy session that was really emotionally intense. And then, okay, go for a run, do a workout. But I'm not using it to forget.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a big distinction. Whereas there were seasons where I used it to forget.
Right. And sometimes just like with everything where I say temporary avoidance is healthy and a skill, I think that when you're in situations where when you're in this marriage where this is going to end, I can't end it right now because of whatever circumstances or life season that I'm in. And so right now I actually need to be able to tolerate being in the marriage and not leaving it. And so avoidance or trying to just kind of ignore it or distract from it is healthy. It's an intentional choice as part of a long-term plan to leave and keep your sanity while you're in it. That's very different than I'm just going to stay in this marriage forever and I'm going to use running to avoid, which now I'm in this toxic situation for the rest of my life while I'm dependent on this thing that I'm probably going to overuse, get tolerant to I'm going to need more and more running. Right. And so it's going to break me down and it's going to, so this, you know what I mean? But that's very different than a short-term deliberate use.
And I think that the deliberate piece is what's really important there.
Yeah.
Because the seasons that I'm thinking of where I used it and it was unhealthy, I think of my mindset at that time as well and like my self-talk and the attitude towards it. And it was very much like, you just got to push through. You just got to push to the limits and like ignore the pain and discomfort and just keep going, right? It was
toxic. That culture that caused Carrie Strug to harm herself.
Exactly. Mind over matter, that sort of thing. And that might be fine for 5 minutes.
Totally.
In an event when you're pushing towards the finish line, that's not fine as a lifestyle. And when you start applying that as a lifestyle, that's when it's like, okay, maybe reflect on your habits and reflect on your choices. And are those things helping or harming?
Yep.
And I think when I'm thinking about the times of my life where it was not helpful, the words that were coming out of my mouth were supportive of choices that were harmful and ideologies and mentalities that were harmful.
What were the words that were coming out of your mouth?
Just keep pushing.
Oh, you were saying that.
Yeah, no, definitely. There are social media posts. I have pretty much all my social media posts. You can scroll back on my social media to those seasons of my life and you could check in
screenshots of that and create a reel of like then versus now.
Yeah, wild. Yeah, I should. Wow, that'll be a thing. What a blast from the past. But yeah, it's like very much, I mean, because there were even fucking Rachel Hollis. There were pieces of my life where I followed her and I was so about it. And I was like, yeah, this has helped me so much. I loved Girl Wash Your Face when I first read it.
Yeah.
I mean,
but it makes sense because you know how I said meet them where they're at? That's a therapist thing. You were at a mentality where Rachel Hollis actually would be helpful to you. And obviously, in some ways, it's harmful. But where you were, it's like that's where you were going to resonate. Like she, you know, and then luckily for you, you then rose from that and grew from that. And then now you can see where it's harmful and you're in a different place. So you'll be met by less problematic support.
Yes, no, definitely. It's that misery loves company thought process. That,
Girl,
like,
wash your face. Yeah.
I know, wild.
Well, and there is a sense of comfort in, oh, I'm the problem. Because we're in control of ourselves. We're not in control of other people. So I think there is, even though obviously it doesn't feel good to be critical of yourself, but I think there is like a...
You can take back power in some way.
Yeah, or feel like you are.
Yeah. Even though you're flailing, it's the wrong power to take.
Yeah.
I think you're putting your energies in the wrong spot at that moment. And
and it makes you more likely, more vulnerable to other people saying you're the problem.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
But so I think about that and I'm like, okay, there were seasons where that wasn't great. And then there were also seasons where I'm like, yep, this was necessary. This was necessary. When the Paul Johnson thing came out, what was interesting, so Paul Johnson started running across America, I think it was like March 1st. And so I found him in February and I found his page in February of 2024. And interestingly enough, January of 2024, I was in a not good place mentally, emotionally, etc. My PTSD and my panic attacks were ramping up to a more uncontrollable level. And I remember my partner at the time had even, noticed that there were times where I seemed unreachable. Like he could just see it in my eyes that I wasn't really there. Yeah. And I mean, you knew a lot of the experiences that I was dealing with, and you had helped a lot in terms of like helping me find a therapist and helping me connect to someone who could actually understand and support me in the ways I needed, because I didn't need more talk therapy. I was like, right. I didn't need more CBT. I didn't need to be in my brain. I needed to actually deal with the trauma, right?
Yes. Yep.
And interestingly enough, dealing with the trauma uncovered some other things that now I had to deal with and, you know, realized were issues that I wasn't quite attuned to at the moment. My body was attuned to it.
In
my
your
mind
life,
wasn't.
at the time, like not the past that created the PTSD, but that there were things, like there was a reason the PTSD resurfaced in such a vicious way, and it had to do with your present circumstances.
Yes, exactly. So the aside that I have is I have often thought of my anxiety and my PTSD as negative, as things working against me, which at times they feel like they are, and things that are bad.
It's getting in the way of the life that I want to live. I just want to be happy.
Yeah. And in recent years, singular.
Yeah.
In recent year, singular, I am starting to have a slight appreciation for it because it's actually a physical warning sign for something that I should pay attention to.
Yes.
And my body is like, hey, you see this? It's like the intuition.
It's like, do not marry this person.
Yeah, for real. And something that was also crazy to me. So when I started with therapy, I'm sorry, I'm going on a lot of asides.
You're fine. You're good. Girl, you're in charge.
Oh boy. So when I was in therapy, we do this modality called brain spotting that Allie started with me. And it's really crazy. Sometimes it's impactful. Other times I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm happening.
I know.
Here. It's so weird.
As a therapist,
stick with it.
It's like so weird because like, hey, today nothing might happen. And then also you might have like what feels like a psychedelic trip that brings up all this stuff that you never expected to make sense together, but it does. And now we've unlocked something.
Yes, exactly. And I remember my therapist, we had worked through some of the big PTSD triggers. And so she was trying to pivot me to some more positive associations and to like tapping into confidence and doing brain spotting for confidence. And I could not. I was like, I don't feel confident. There is nowhere in my body.
Yeah.
My body is dead as a doorknob.
Dang.
For that. And over the last year and a half, I have been trying to be very mindful of the moments that I feel confident and where do I feel it in my body. And what's ironic, so if you ever see me in real life or you ever look at photos of me, I have very aggressive traps.
Yes, you do. And I love it about you.
My shoulders and my arms are very muscular. And I've had also a lot of knots in my traps. Oh. And a lot of those developed during my divorce and during seasons of trauma. And so I call them my trauma traps.
Oh.
Because they're filled with all the things that have held me down. Oh. And I have frequently associated them with negative experiences.
Oh my.
It's not that I don't like the aesthetic.
Yeah,
it's just that I'm
You're
like
built AF. But I had no idea that you had this association.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh yeah, those are, and I say it in like a joking manner. It's like the dark humor side of things.
Right.
Like,
but that's a defense.
Uh-huh.
The defense mechanism to separate you from the feelings. Yeah.
And what's funny is the confidence bit. So as we started working on the confidence bit, times when I felt most confident are moments that I'm training people and like really doing a deep dive into the
and
more
you
sciencey
understand holistically and like you go into it and they're like, oh my God, you're the first person who's been able to explain this and now there's hope and then they get better. Yeah.
Yeah. And feeling really confident in that. And they're very isolated experiences. It's not like an overall posturing thing and an overall body experience until more recently when I realized that it was in my shoulders that I felt confidence. In my fucking trauma traps.
Oh my
and
gosh.
my posture. And I remember there was a moment around the time where I made the decision and was standing in my power. If you listen to the Trauma Triangle episode, there was a moment where I was in my empowerment triangle sort of vibe within my marriage and divorce. Around that same time, I remember standing within the gym, the place that I was working, and my posture, I had someone come up and comment and be like, damn, are you Superman? And it was the way that I was standing and it was a very strong posture. And I remember thinking to myself, like, oh yeah, my shoulders feel really good. My posture feels really good, which is always ironic because my shoulders have always been like a pulled forward thing. And like, yeah, there's just a lot of like layers. So it's just interesting now as I'm starting to explore more of the confidence pieces and like where I feel that in my body. It's the exact same place that I felt trauma.
Post-traumatic growth, motherfucker.
Right? Crazy, right?
Oh.
I know.
Whoa. But also, okay, I have so many thoughts. I'm sure. Do you want me to wait?
Go for it.
Okay.
We're here.
Okay, here's my thoughts. The first thing that I want to say is I'm so glad we do a podcast because I didn't know about any of that. What the fuck? Holy shit. I know you haven't been keeping it from me, but like, oh my gosh, that's so meaningful and important. And I'm so glad that I know that. And then you shared that with the selfies. I'm so glad that you're, number one, starting to feel that and embody that and like really be connected to it. And then also I think it's so cool that it's in the trauma traps. You're learning to love a part of yourself that for a long time you didn't feel good about.
Yeah.
Like literally physically. I mean, aesthetically you like it, but it sounds like your relationship with the trauma part of it was like, ugh. And now it's like ooh, yeah.
It's like the Phoenix rebirth thing. That's a tattoo I want to get too. But yeah. Rebranding.
I don't know if you're into tattoos.
I am actually.
Oh, do you? You don't have any, right?
I don't have any. I have a number of ideas for what I want.
Because I feel like a phoenix. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I want a phoenix on my hip, actually. I want a phoenix on my hip and a Medusa on my shoulder.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. That sounds so badass. Okay. Especially with muscles. So the other thing that I was thinking about when you were talking about you're actually starting to feel, I don't want to say good about the PTSD, but it's more like you're relating to it differently of,
yes,
wow, when I'm triggered or when this is resurfacing again, it's basically alarms and I should actually pay attention to that. Sometimes they might be false alarms, but I don't want to just assume that they're false alarms. I actually want to tune into that and take it seriously and see if it could be something. And I'm thinking about the running or just any kind of fitness and how any kind of movement, any kind of activity, any kind of fitness can be used to connect to your body and really pay attention to that. And when you're feeling good and you are physically fit, it's like a healthy baseline where then when your body is feeling off and maybe there's these red flags or red lights, then you might be able to see them even better because you're like, oh, my baseline is feeling really good. But I can also see how fitness could be used to avoid how you're feeling because, and I'm not saying you, I'm just saying anyone, because if you overtrain and you overwork, then you're in pain or you're numb or whatever. So it's almost like there's so much pain that you're pushing out what might potentially be signals of, no, this is not the relationship for you.
Well, and I think about that, the pain piece of it too. And I remember during that time, I was kind of addicted to HIIT training. And one of the reasons is because I was creating the pain.
Yeah. And that's why self-harm is a thing because
it's a form of self-harm at that level.
Well, yeah. And
not to that extent, but that was the mindset.
But the function of self-harm is to cause pain because it's a distraction from your emotional pain. It helps. Yeah. You know, people don't harm themselves for no reason. Like if there was no quote unquote perceived benefit from self-harm, people wouldn't do it. Right.
Yeah.
And it also does tap into, you know, when our body feels pain, we do get, I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's kind of like when we go into shock, there's like our body releases some feel good chemicals to try to kind of like, you know, when you're in shock, you're numb from your pain. It's kind of similar to that. Selfies, if you're interested, you could easily Google like self-harm and feel good chemicals, and I'm sure it would come up and explain it to you. But yeah, the reason that anyone does anything that sabotages them is because they're trying to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We're all just trying to get back to homeostasis and baseline. That's the one thing I remember from biology in 9th grade. Homeostasis, man.
That's what Katie's got for us from bio. No, I'm sure you got a lot of other stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So for Simone Biles, it was like, I have to step back. I love this sport, but right now I can't do it safely because she was getting the twisties.
Yeah, she was getting the twisties,
which is kind of like, I don't know how you would describe it, but it's like you're so disoriented, you can't really land properly. Like you don't know how you're oriented when you're doing the gymnastics.
You can't orient yourself in space. It's sort of like vertigo.
Yeah, so then you can't land well, and you could definitely hurt yourself or freaking die, like end on your head.
Your neck.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The fact that people were angry at her. Oh my gosh.
Well, and that's the beauty of that caliber of athlete, why it's so impressive, is because they make it look easy.
No, oh, totally. I'm also just thinking about how she's a Black woman. So it's going to be easier to come after and vilify and say that person's bad when you're Black and you're a woman. But yeah, totally. But yeah, it's like when you're so good at something, it looks easy and it's like, just do it. Just do it. Yeah. It's not a big deal. Just do it. And it's like, no, it actually is a big deal. Like,
yeah, she truly is though the greatest of all the female gymnasts and potentially all gymnasts that we've had. She has raised the bar on every single skill.
Yeah.
So yeah, people are like, oh, just push through. You got this. So circling way back. I was in a really shitty period. This is back to the PTSD and the anxiety. I remember it was flaring up for me a year and a half ago. It was flaring up for me. And I was like, oh my God, all these things are happening and I can't control them anymore.
Yeah.
It's gotten unsustainable.
Right.
And you and I had found a few therapists that would be reasonable and would make sense for me and my situation and what I needed. And I remember I was reaching out to all of them and oh my God, it's hard. Like everyone was booked or, you know, and I eventually ended up getting in with one, but it took some time. And so in the meantime, guess who got back into running? Because I had to figure out a way to manage my symptoms.
Yeah.
And it was also around the same time that Paul Johnson was starting this thing. And that's what got me back into a moment of, and this is where it was helpful, a moment of, oh, I have some control.
Yeah.
I can manage my experience a little bit better. This is not something that's going to take me out. I have the opportunity to take care of me.
Oh, I love it.
And for that season, running did that. Running was the thing that kept me moving forward.
That was your anchor.
Yeah, exactly. It gave me a sense of control. It helped me to manage my symptoms and not feel like I was broken, because that's what PTSD constantly would make me feel like, is I'm broken, I'm a problem, like I'll never be back to who I am. I don't have control of me. Until I was able to work on the deeper roots and the things that were causing those experiences, and then also start to uncover my experiences within my current situation that were perpetuating that cycle and that were causing the anxiety flags and the PTSD flags to go off.
Right. Yeah.
And then because I was able to deal with those, running didn't feel as necessary anymore. It could just be fun.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the awareness piece that you have to have with it is, and I was actually talking to one of my other coaches about this today, and it wasn't necessarily related directly to mental health, but this coach had been talking about, I'm really struggling to stick with a goal. Like I'm struggling to get back into a routine and consistency. And I think this can be consistency, anything. It doesn't have to be consistency in fitness. But sometimes you have a very specific association to an experience. So in this case, my association with running was it helps me cope with stress, anxiety, PTSD. And I use it at a time where that is really high. And I feel really good when I run because it gives me a sense of control and it gives me a sense of purpose and strength that helps mitigate those negative effects. And then when I don't need to get that piece of it, the sense of control, the sense of strength, the sense of ability to improve my situation from running, and I'm getting it from somewhere else, running doesn't carry that same meaning.
Yeah.
It has to have a different meaning. I do it just because I enjoy it or because I'm training for something specific. And so this coach that I was talking to, he was like, I'm really struggling with doing the thing that I've always loved doing because I can't get back into that routine, and I'm comparing myself to who I was then, the last time I did it.
You have the expectations of that.
Yeah. And it's like, if you've grown out of that place and you're no longer in that same life position or that same mental position or physical position, you can't try to put that mask or that sheet or that experience, that costume on and say, this is me now.
Yeah.
It's not you now.
Right. And that's not going to feel good. So it's going to be hard to keep doing that, AKA the routine of doing that.
Exactly. Because you've grown, which is great. So you have to either create a new framework around that old task and see yourself as a new person doing that task for a different reason, or sometimes you have to find a different task.
Right.
As far as fitness goals are concerned. So this coach, we're now talking about a totally different goal that they've never tried working on before. That's kind of what I'm doing too. I mean, running was a big thing, but I'm training for this DECA event.
I love it.
It's not something that I've ever done before. I've done Spartan Events, which is who is hosting DECA, but this is like a totally different sphere within it. And it's kind of invigorated a new sense of purpose.
I love that.
Because it's new, it's novel, and I can identify who I am in this moment and my current level and journey of growth and self-centeredness with this new experience and write a new experience and not be tied to the old version of myself.
Oh, I love that. I love that. It's making me think about with Simone, we don't know for sure, but gymnastics means so much to her, and that time in her life, like, okay, that's not what takes care of me, so now I'm going to focus on this other thing, right? And I think that's part of being self-centered, is allowing yourself to grow and change. Right? Is that we're constantly going to be shifting and changing and evolving, and allowing yourself to do that also means letting go of who you used to be, because if you try to be that, now it's a costume. Now that's not you. So being self-centered is being centered in yourself now.
Right. Yeah. Your skin, who you are today.
Yeah.
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 So all of that to say, we've given a few examples today, friends, of times when it might be beneficial from even a fitness perspective or any tool that you're using to
totally.
lean into that more, and that will take care of you. Or sometimes you have to step away from something that you love in order to center yourself and to take care of you. So the question then becomes, are you reflecting on how this tool is being used in your life? And I think that's the biggest part of where I have my qualms on fitness in terms of therapy. Fitness is therapy. Are you reflecting? Are you being honest with yourself? Are you using all the tools in your toolkit? And are you seeing how this tool is helping or hurting you?
And feeling into it too.
Yes.
Because we want the thinking reflection, but I think by reflection, you also mean actually tuning into your experience and feeling, how is this impacting me?
Yes, exactly. And, you can do that with a mind check. Okay, do I feel happy and calm when I do this thing? Or am I feeling guilty and anxious when I don't? Is it bringing me joy and clarity? Or is it making me afraid of what happens if I stop?
Or what it means about me if I stop.
Yes, exactly. Is this positively impacting other parts of my life? Am I sleeping well, eating enough, healing? Or am I always tired and sore?
Yeah.
Do I see myself as more than just the thing that I'm doing? Or is that the only definition of my self-worth?
Yeah, my identity. Yeah.
Does it help connect me with others? Or is it pulling me away from the people that I care about?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like looking back at that dartboard and like, where do you fall on the dartboard and the different dimensions of wellness? Like, how does this thing that I'm doing impact where I am on the dartboard in those dimensions?
Exactly. And if you look at the examples with myself, with Paul, with Simone, there are moments where it brings us closer and there are moments where it could bring us away. And so we have to do that self-check of, okay, if I'm using this tool, is it helping me? Is it hurting me? Am I self-centering? Am I self-abandoning? Hopefully, it's taking us on the journey of being self-centered. And if it's not, that's your cue to pivot.
Yeah. Thank you, Katie. All right. Well, I don't even know what we're going to be talking about next time, so I can't tease y'all. We're all going to find out.
Yeah. Stay tuned for a big surprise of whatever the next episode is.
Yeah. All right. We love you all. We hope that you stay self-centered. Take care of yourself. Bye.
Yes. Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at selfcentered.pod or connect with us at selfcenteredthepod@gmail.com.
Stay self-centered, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Peace.